Hey,
Hello.
what's up?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, I'm good.
Good, good. Right, so first off, can I say thank you very much for calling me?
You're
Um,
welcome. Sorry I'm late. I got caught on a call.
don't worry, mate. It's fine. We all have stuff like that. No problem. Um, right, so I've got a few questions. If I could
Mhm.
ask you, just
Yep.
get an insight into the boy band world. Um, so the first one is just general. What is life like being in a boy band? So like, what are the highs and lows of it?
Um, well, for me, the lows were the 15 years we were broken up because
Yeah,
we had our first run in the 80s, or late 80s, early 90s, and then we broke up and got back together in 2008. So the 15 years was like that was not good.
yeah,
Not fun. And honestly, I had accepted we were probably wouldn't work again together.
okay,
Um, but then getting back together, the last 12 years have been like beyond a high. So lucky and blessed to be able to do this a second time and
yeah,
have more success the second time also. So um, the lows now, there's not many. I mean, obviously now everyone's going through the same low of uh the coronavirus, but
yeah.
um not many lows the past 12 years.
Fair enough, fair enough. So on that as well, like, um, how how do you feel when the band parted ways? Like, what was it like? I mean, obviously you're in such a big spotlight, and then it all just kind of, you parted. What was it like?
It wasn't a good feeling. I mean, it's not that like we broke up and I was mad at anyone in the group. Guys wanted to do other things, and
Yeah,
our run was kind of coming to an end. You could tell as like a lot of boy bands, they have a run and then that's it.
yeah, true.
But I focused on being a dad. I had a young son at the time, so he was young. I focused on being a dad, and then I got married, and I have my two girls with my son. And I focused on being a dad and family. And then when the group got back together, I was ready to go.
What was it? What was it like? And so obviously, what made you all want to rejoin? What was the like thing which started it off again?
Well, I've always been close with Donnie. We went to school together all through elementary, middle school, and high school.
Yeah,
But we were friends long before the group, and we also knew the Knight brothers. We all sang in the elementary school choir together.
cool.
So um, getting back together was a phone call from Donnie. He had a song that he found, and it was this song called "Click Click Click." That's on our album, The Block.
Yeah.
But he sent me the song. I listened to it. He's like, maybe we just start recording and seeing how it feels. And we started recording together. And that's kind of how it started, just recording some songs. We got songs from different people. And then we met with Irving Azoff and Jared Paul,
Okay.
who Jared Paul's our manager, but Irving Azoff is this legend in the music business. He's been like #1 on Forbes list for
Oh wow.
the entertainment. Yeah, he's bigger. I mean, one year he's bigger than Jay-Z. So
Yeah, very big.
he's really smart guy. So Jared worked for him. We had a meeting with them, and they really thought us getting back together could be a big thing. I still didn't have high hopes or anything. I just was happy we were trying to do something.
Yeah,
And
it's
then it all came together.
very true. And on that as well, obviously, I'm a huge fan of you guys and also the Backstreet Boys. And you did the joints tour, didn't you? I mean, what was that like? Was that good or?
No, it was great, man. I mean, got a lot of respect for those guys. I mean, definitely uh, different mentalities of how they approach things and we approach things, which
Yeah.
was cool because we still had to do separate shows and we had little bits where we were all together.
Hmm.
But it was great working with them, and I'm still hopeful. we'll do it again with them because it was, there were challenges with 9 guys on stage.
Yeah.
Then there'll be 10 now that they have Kevin back in the group. But I think it would be huge if we did it again.
Yeah, I mean, seeing clips of it on YouTube and stuff, obviously in England, it's like, it looks amazing, everything. So yeah, it does look very good. And on the relationships in the band and stuff, like, how do you manage them? Because obviously there may be times where you don't agree with the song or, different sung parts. How do you deal with it, if you get what I mean?
I think with us, it's a little bit easier because of the way we came together and our backgrounds and our families and the way we were raised.
True,
We were
yeah.
most of us went to public schools, didn't have much, poor basically.
Yeah.
So I think now I've learned over the years, just let certain things go. And normally things end up making me happy anyway. So like, you got to learn when to really speak up. And most of the times I'm quiet, there's not much to say. And in the end, we vote on things. So,
okay.
And it's usually we all agree or it's 4-1.
Yeah.
One person. So it's never a big deal. And honestly, it's pretty easy to work with everyone in the group.
Cool, that's good then. And I mean, like, obviously you're very connected into the New Kids on the Block, obviously, and everything, and all the boys and that. And so how do you deal with your family life as well as obviously your band life? Like, how do you manage the two?
It's pretty easy for me because I live in Miami. So we all grew up in Boston.
Yeah.
So it might be a little more difficult if I still lived in Boston because everyone knows where I lived or whatever, everyone knows. But coming down here like 20 years ago, I live a very normal life when we're not working.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy for me to come off a tour and just go back into my normal life because I can go around Miami and, people recognize me, but it's not like everywhere I go. It's, it's maybe once in a day or twice in a day and just take a selfie with a person. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
But for me, it's an easy transition. I don't know about the other guys, but for me, it's easy to balance the two things.
Good. And how do you keep yourself then grounded? Because obviously when you're at the height of your success and everything, you were one of the highest paid bands in the world, beating Michael Jackson and Madonna and stuff. So how did you kind of cope with that and make sure you didn't get too big-headed and stuff like that?
Once again, I think it's the way we were all raised from like working class families, our parents. Yeah. And then the 5 of us being together, pretty much we kept each other in check. And it's not even something that has to be discussed. I think, honestly, the thing that helps us the most is we don't talk about money to the end. So when things are about money, and sometimes we don't need to talk about it, like this is the offer we got, and we all say, cool. But when money's the motivation with some artists, I think that's a reflection on like the team they have with them and the way they do business. And for us, I think that's like the last thing we kind of talk about. And it's from coming from humble beginnings and not forgetting it.
Good. So this is a question about like, so obviously, when you're in the spotlight and stuff, how did you deal with the criticism? So if you ever got some criticism, what was that like? Because obviously you had all the goods and stuff, but.
Yeah, I don't read it. Even back then and to this day, I don't like, if I post something on social media, I don't read the comments because I can read 1,000 comments and I'm going to remember the one bad one.
Very true, yeah.
And that's going to be my memory of what I just posted. Like this person, who's that person? So I don't read anything. And even when we're touring and there's reviews, like we get an email with all the press clippings. I don't read it. And most of them are good now. Like we've earned a lot of respect in the business. So, but it's still like, I just don't bother. I'm more into what happened that night at the show. If the fans had a good time, if the show was great, I focus on that.
Cool. So like on that as well, do you enjoy the promotional sides, or like, for example, like TV interviews and stuff like that, and seeing the fans? Is that one of the best things would you say about being part of the boy band, or is that enjoyable?
The best thing is being on stage in a sold out arena. I mean,
Yeah,
nothing tops that. The press is easy. It's usually, a few days of press if we're announcing a tour or whatever it is. I love when we get together and perform on TV, but that's like, it's well planned out. We're prepared. It's pretty easy and never stressful. Like, I enjoy every aspect of what we do basically, but the
yeah.
top thing is being on stage.
Yeah, I mean, on that as well, what's it like? Obviously, when you're at the height of your success and stuff, how much did you enjoy it? Do you remember it as in, obviously you remember it in a good way and stuff, but was it just such a great time and, being with all these millions of people, shouting your name and stuff?
Yeah. I think this time around, it's obviously a lot easier to enjoy because we can interact with the fans more because they're older. The first time around, I mean, everything went so fast, man. It's like your head spinning and then, trying to maintain that. It was difficult then to try to maintain a normal life. Like
Yeah,
I would go home and I stayed in the house I grew up in. I bought it from my parents and
yeah,
had the attic done as an apartment, but everyone knew where I lived. So if we were doing a show in Boston, there'd be like 200 people, 300 people outside my house.
yeah,
So
me.
it was difficult the first time around, and we were young, and it wasn't all like great experiences when you couldn't really go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like you had to be
Yeah,
careful where you went, and
yeah,
that's the blessing of having a second opportunity to do it. Like I went into this knowing I'm gonna enjoy, even if it would have just been 2008, that 1 year, I would have enjoyed it and been happy with that.
yeah. So what's it been like then? This the revival kind of thing. What's it been like compared to before? I know it's obviously probably a bit easier for you, but what else has it brought to you?
I mean, I've learned a lot about the business. Obviously, since the first time, and the business has changed.
Yeah,
So, I've learned a lot. I stay involved with everything. I mean, I was on a call. That's why I was late.
yeah,
Business for the group. So I stay involved with everything. Um,
yeah.
we have a great team of people that work for us, which makes it easy.
Mhm.
But it's more of just being an adult because the first time
Yeah,
around we were basically kids, but so
yeah,
now being an adult, we are involved in everything. We, as an artist, you should want to be the boss
yeah,
because you want to know what everyone's doing. But when you're young, it's difficult. So now it's a lot easier when you're talking, and I'm 51 and I'm talking to our manager who's 10 years younger than me. You know what I mean? Like, but he works for us. So it's a lot easier now.
cool. Right, so um, in this I'm doing this project thing, and it's basically like a musical for a boy band,
Mhm.
and I've got.
It's a fast song, so
Yeah.
the tempo's deceiving. Hence, that's why like when we perform it now, we've toned down the choreography a little bit because
Yeah, I mean, I was watching a video earlier on of your choreography, and it's like crazy fast. So
I would say look at what we've done now, what we do
yeah,
now, not then, because we always did way too much choreography. Like every little beat had a move. I would say it would be helpful to do the choreography we do now to that
yeah,
song than the
okay,
old choreography.
cool. So another question is basically, um, as I love boy bands so much and everything. How do you view the maybe I'll call it a rival, but as like all the other boy bands, how do you join as like a union, I guess, or or is it like or is it just, you know, you go your separate ways and don't really go into contact with each other?
I mean, I'm concerned with what we do.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've definitely, like, working with the Backstreet Boys was great, and we've toured twice with Boys to Men.
Yeah, they're good.
They're our friends, so, like, they're awesome. I think there's a mutual respect even for the younger guys. Like,
Yeah.
we had when we played the O2, a couple guys from One Direction were there.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Some other groups too. I'm not, because we don't know all the groups there all the time.
Yeah.
So I think there's mutual respect. I'm always happy. Like, I think One Direction should get back together soon,
Yeah.
because they can have more longevity if they go back and forth, which is probably a mistake for us.
Yeah.
Was we didn't make that transition. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. We didn't make that, but them guys have. And if they got back together, I mean, it would be huge. And then they can go back to doing what they do. So I always root for anyone in a boy band, anyone, you know, doing pop music and having success. I'm always rooting for them, because in the end, it only helps the whole music industry, and it'll help us.
Yeah, very true. Okay. So again, like, when you're performing and stuff, what is your favorite song to perform? So out of all of the big songs, which is your favorite?
I mean, in concert, we have a lot of, like, great moments in our shows. We're very lucky not only to have the hits we've had, but there are a lot of up-tempo songs that, you know, add to the show.
Yeah.
I mean, doing last song on stage usually is Hanging Tough, and that's just usually the whole crowd waving their hands, and it's a giant party. There's a lot of moments like that in the show, but if I had to pick one, it would be Hanging Tough.
Fair enough. Right. So I've got one more question, which is, are there any plans to come to England anytime soon?
You know what? I mean, if you asked me this, you know, like 5 months ago, I probably could have said yes. Right now, we can't plan anything. I'm on all these calls, and they're all hypothetical.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired of being on business calls that are like, if this happens, then you can do this next year. And I'm like, next year's doesn't look too good to me either. You know what I mean? Like, as of right now, you know, so, I mean, I hope, I don't know if we're going to tour next year. I don't know anything, because it's all hypothetical what's going on, but it's been too long since we've been back. I know that. And we've had offers, and we deal with a lot of scheduling stuff, because Donnie he has the #1 TV show here in America on Friday nights. Yeah. So we have to do our stuff around his schedule. I mean, obviously, him being on the #1 show on CBS on Friday nights helps the whole profile and everything. So we work, it's always been, you know, it's not an issue, but we have, like, these months where we can tour. Okay. So we do that. You know, it's that. So it's going to depend on, honestly, what we do next year, and if we do anything at all.
Yeah, fair enough. Right. That's all my questions. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
It's been an honor. I mean, I've got into, I'm quite young, obviously. I got into New Kids, you know, recently, and yeah, I just fell in love with them, I guess. So yeah, thank you very much for speaking with me today. It's been good.
Welcome. You're welcome. No problem. You're a smart kid, man. You're smart. Good questions.
Thank you. Cool. Right, so I'll leave it there, and I'll say bye. Enjoy the rest of lockdown, and hopefully you will come to England sometime. Like, I can see you.
I hope so, man. Nice meeting you.
And you. Bye-bye.
All right.